Well, greetings anyone watching this. So I've decided to swap a Cummins into this pickup. I thought I'd do a relatively quick video on where I am so far with it. I was actually contemplating selling this truck before, and then I thought about it a little more and I realized not only would I not get back anywhere near the amount of money I put into it, I wouldn't get anything for my time either. So I don't know, they say everything's for sale for the right price, but I just don't see that happening. So I decided just to go ahead and make it what I want it to actually be. So here's the result of about 2 days of work, I guess. Just took the whole course to pour it out. Took the stock powertrain out. This transmission's pretty much toast. The fluid smells so disgusting, it makes me want to puke. Then I've been cutting up my wiring harness. Here's the cross member that I added to the front, because I didn't like how much I had to hack off this factory cross member here to clear when I cut off the AR mounts and to clear that rod. So I wanted to give a little more reinforcement back to it. And then with the wiring, basically my overall goal with this swap is I want to keep this as clean as I possibly can. How well I achieve that remains to be seen, but I've been cutting out a lot of wire, as you can see over here. Every one of those little blue labels is a particular thing. Like, let's say, yeah, I was going to keep my air conditioning too. I thought about that, but it never worked. I mean, it hasn't worked for years, so I just eventually I said, am I going to get it working again after I put the Cummins in? Probably not, so I might as well just get rid of all that wiring. But that's, like I said, I really want to keep it clean, and this is a good opportunity to do that because you don't need all this wiring. I mean, look at each one of these, like this coolant temp. I labeled everything in distributor, EGR, the throttle position sensor, the map sensor, like idle air control valve, like all that stuff, transmission control. I'm not going to need any of these wires because manual transmission. AC lines, you don't need the evap purge solenoid or charcoal canister, the other vent line going to the tank. You don't need any of that stuff. And as you can see, I don't have anti-lock brakes either because I have a Dana 60, and there weren't any wheel speed sensors in 1981 or 82 or whatever year this axle is. That kind of annoys me. I really like anti-lock brakes for a truck because when you can put like 1,000 pounds of weight in the bed and still have the right brake bias with emergency braking. It's impossible to get that without anti-lock brakes. But whatever. So I'll probably cut this out of the harness too. Yeah, this is pretty annoying here because I wish that this was a plug that actually came apart, but it doesn't. It's just like a piece that seals to the firewall and it goes in and connects to the computer. So there's no way of, like, this just annoys me. I wish I could have a coupler and then like unplug it and then cut on the other side of the coupler. But especially because I'd be able to lay the whole harness out in the ground. It'd be a lot easier to get at. Right here, here's another example of how it's not easy to get at. It's right behind all this stuff. I gotta cut into this today. But what I've been doing here is I pulled the fuse box out, sort of, and you can see, so I say I cut a wire in the harness. The way I would do it is I just grab what I thought was it up here based on a wiring diagram and just my intuition, I guess, being the same color, and I try to pull it back through there. And I got a few of them out. But overall, I mean, that's a pretty good amount of wire to take out. So I'm gonna work on that more today. I haven't decided if I'm gonna keep my airbag system, because the airbag light's on, and I gotta be realistic. Am I ever gonna actually fix that? Because if I'm not ever going to fix it, I might as well just get rid of it because I don't need it. I mean, here you got this little sub harness. This has a wheel speed sensor, just obviously aren't used, and the airbag wiring. So then when I set the Cummins in here, I'm not going to use these angled mounts. These are the Chevy mounts, but the first gen. A lot of people use the first gen Cummins mounts. I don't want to do that. I want to use the original mounts that are on that truck right there. And I'm hoping that they're going to line up right behind this, like they're going to go right here. I want to have the ears come off right here. But that may not be the case. I just hope it will be, because that's how I want to do it. And then I'm hoping that I'll be able to get it to sit low enough in here that I won't even have to bend this up, this lip here. If I do, no big deal. I should not need a body lift. Everybody says, I mean, all the pictures I've seen show that I won't need one. I'm gonna have to do something with my cross member though, because that's the 4L60 cross member. That's not gonna work with that. It's gonna have to be probably 3 inches lower, I guess. And then I'm gonna have to do something else. I don't like my transfer case mount. Let's see if I can make that show up here. When I built that, what I tried to do was mimic the way the Dodge held that transfer case in place. That's from a like 1970s Dodge or something, and when I bought it, it came with the factory crossmember. Factory crossmember just went from each frame rail and then up and over it in a big sort of half circle thing. And so I'm using the factory mounting locations on the transfer case, and what I did with that crossmember is I cut sections out of it and used those sections to hold the case, and I welded those sections onto this other stuff. So that piece right there in the center, that is the Dodge factory section. You can see the bushings there. That's factory. Those are the factory Dodge bushings, the factory bolts, factory washers, whatever. And on the other side, it's the same thing. That piece right there on the inside, that's a factory Dodge piece. I don't like this at all though, because there's no room on the top of that. And those bolts are loaded in tension. What that means is if they're loose at all, they just want to unscrew the rest of the way and the transfer case will fall out. That is not cool. And but I figured at the time, well, that's the way they did it, and I don't know, I didn't think about it well enough, I guess, when I built it. It works fine, I just don't like it for the reasons that I can't access these bolts without picking the body up. And over here, this is not going to fly at all, because that's a 3-inch pipe right there, and that just barely fits through there. It's pulled all the way back, so why the flange is hitting it. I'm just in the process of taking the exhaust out. But with the Cummins, I want to run a lot bigger exhaust than that. And if I can't get it fit through there, I have to just dump it down. I don't want to do that at all. So this whole mount setup here has got to go. I think what I'm going to do for the transfer case is build a mount off the PTO cover on this side, and do some kind of bushing on this side, and then also another bushing on the back off of the rear of the front output. So it would be just like a ring that bolts onto those bolts, and then has a couple tabs on it. So that should be pretty nice when I get around to doing that. But I think that's about all I can think to say for now. I gotta put the clutch pedal assembly in. See that right there? That looks like the place where it's supposed to go, come through the firewall. I gotta add another battery box right here so I can run the dual batteries, and that should be sitting at the post office. Oh yeah, and then another thing I want to do, I just got this right now. The FedEx guy stopped by. He's like, that looks like a fun little project. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. But so these are full length Add-A-Leaves, Pro Comp Add-A-Leaves, and what I want to do with those is, if necessary, I'm probably going to do it. I mean, I guess 90% of the probability that I'm going to do it, but I may not need to. But add these to these springs to help support the weight of that heavy diesel 1100 pound motor. So they're full length springs or leaves, and they're going to be the third leaf down from the top. So they'll go between this leaf and this leaf, because they're military wrap springs. So this leaf right here, zoom in, wraps around the top, the main leaf. So I can't go between those two, but I think that'll work really well. So I hope it will anyway. And what else am I gonna do today? I'm probably just got finished cutting my exhaust out of here. I wish I had a plasma cutter or a sawzall or something, but I'm just gonna have to use the disc grinder. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching.